This is really hard for me because I've been isolating myself since September of last year. And this is a result of me staying at a local resort here in Flagstaff. I did tell management and ask them what they could do to repair that, because it is an illness caused by pets, and they infect the grass, and I'm allergic to grass. So this is what happened to me after they cut the grass, and it small particles of dust flew around into my unit through the window, and it had the windows closed except for a crack in the window where my HEPA filter was attached, and I turned off the filter because it's an air conditioner. I got cold, so I just pushed a button and fell asleep, and I woke up in the morning with a rash. This is because I've tried to clean it and I've peeled off the dead skin, and it's just continuing to grow, so I'm trying not to even touch it. And I'm struggling because my doctor doesn't want to give me treatment for it. I need to get treated or I'm going to be contagious. So I am high risk. That's why I'm sick. But not only am I high risk and at risk, I'm sick. So I could get people sick just by touching my face and touching things where I go about in town. And everywhere I go in town has the same pollution on the grass and on the plants. And I've tried to contact the city to ask them to repair the problem, because it is their responsibility to do maintenance and upkeep on city public properties where people are allowed to walk by. And me walking by those areas gets this, the wind blows, it sticks to my skin, and then I get sores. I used to get these sores around my face by my glasses, and now I just wear a complete mask on my face, that you guys have seen, because every time I go outside I get sores on my face. And it's because of my declining health, trying to get my housing management to make my house safe. They have made my house safe, thank God, and allowed me to recover so I could think straight, because I was acting crazy. I was losing my mind. It was horrible. And I was dying. My organs were failing. The medical community here refuses to treat me. And I don't believe at all that it's ignorance and not being educated. I believe it's a choice that they are going to allow me to stay sick because they don't want to be responsible for the illness that's being caused by Flagstaff. So I'm reaching out to everyone and telling them, do not visit Flagstaff because it's polluted. If you know anybody who is high risk, they are going to get sick from being around you. And it is not the coronavirus. This is other viruses that your pets are picking up, that your shoes are picking up, and it's going along in your baggage with the dust, because this is a valley fever state and the wind blows really strong here. You are not going to be away from any speck of dust that could get into your luggage or your personal property and your vehicle. As long as you're within the area that the wind blows in Arizona, you are going to be affected by this. You may not get sick now, but this is what I know. Illnesses that are neglected and untreated, and they're allowed to fester within the biology of the earth, they mutate like the coronavirus. Because this is in me, and I have a rare blood disease. My rare blood disease might cause this illness to mutate, and when I pass it on, it could be even worse than the illness that I originally was infected with. And it is a possibility scientifically. It very well is. So my paralysis, my confusion, I'm starting to stutter because I'm suffering from a infection that I didn't get in my home. Since my home has been made safe, I got this one outside, and I reached out to the mayor of Flagstaff. I reached out to the sanitation department. I reached out to the governor, and by ignoring me, they're continuing to put people's lives at risk. And I'm going to lose my life as a result of it. But not only am I going to lose my life, I could be infecting people all over, because I do have illnesses in my body that can be given to other people. If I go swimming in any of the local spots, if I go out to eat in any of the local spots, if I go walking around in town touching things, I'm going to make people sick. So I have to isolate myself. And it's unfair to force me to live in a bubble because our leaders refuse to clean up. That's like a 2-year-old not wanting to pick up their spilled milk. It's going to rot, and it's going to get nasty, and it's going to stink, and it's going to make you sick. But still they refuse to clean it up. And you know what? My children, when they were 2 years old, they would get a towel and they would clean up their spit milk. And why can't our leaders be that responsible? What is so hard about taking action against something that is killing people? The nation is at risk. The world is at risk, because Flagstaff is a tourist trap. I'm telling you now, it's not a tourist trap. It's a germ trap. And if you come here, you're going to get sick. Or you're going to take this potential home to your community where you live. Your neighbors and their children are going to start getting this from my city, because my city is not cleaning up the problem that's causing the infection. I've asked them. I've talked to them since numerous times for the past 2 years. I've been begging them for help, and they've all ignored me. The only ones that answered me was the hazmat. Hazmat responded to my concerns, but they are not the ones that can fix the problem. The city leaders have to, and it's the responsibility of sanitation department and parks and recreation, road and bridge. Those are the only, and those are all things that our community has no control over. So they're isolating you guys to stop this illness from spreading, but they're not going to prevent the illness by cleaning it up. So what's the point of isolation? Because as soon as you leave, you're going to pick it up and track it somewhere else. And all this time we've been isolated, I feel they should have been sanitizing those areas to ensure that there is going to be no transfers of illness. But they chose not to sanitize and just make us sit around in our house wasting time for nothing, because they didn't stop the problem. They did stop the spread of coronavirus, but they didn't stop the growth and breeding of it, because it's breeding in those areas that are already infected with pollution from previous years and previous years. These are infections that your animals get and spread them to you. My family's high risk, so my mom almost died visiting Flagstaff. My granddaughter was severely ill and went to the hospital, and I'm afraid for my daughter who's coming to help me recover. Her life is at risk coming into Flagstaff to help me. Not from the coronavirus. Her life is at risk from just every normal day viruses that are neglected and becoming resistant. When they become resistant, they're going to affect you the way they're affecting me. And you might not think it's your problem, but that is your problem, because this is eventually going to happen, and sooner rather than later, because nobody's doing anything to stop the pollution. If you throw your cup on the ground and it breeds fungus, and your dog pees in the ground next to it and it dries up and all that fungus is there, and I breathe it in, I get sick, right? But that gives the opportunity for it to transfer from another animal to me through your cup and the urine, dried up and blowing in the wind. And then once it comes to me, my rare illness might cause it to mutate, which makes it possible for you to get it. So your littering and your pollution is ultimately going to take you by surprise when this happens to you. And this is a result of it. This is a result of the way that the people behave in the community. And I'm the girl that goes out on the hiking trails and picks up other people's trash. This is what that's done to me. By trying to protect my environment, it's killing me. because nobody else is doing their part, including the leaders of the city who are paid to do this and have the funds to do this. If it's a national emergency, they need to pull out a super fund to do it if it's going to cost that much money. And it's possible because I've been there when they were repairing a water leak that could potentially infect groundwater and people's lives. They saved lives, and they stopped it by getting money to repair it and clean it up. Why can our government clean up the pollution that is making people die from everyday illnesses? It was Colorado, though. Colorado's a way cleaner state than Arizona, I could tell you by far. Colorado is the most beautiful state I've ever been in. New Mexico is a clean state, too. It's a very nice state, but Colorado's nicer because of the snow. Arizona is the dirtiest place I've ever lived in, and I actually faint and get dizzy and pass out and suffer all kinds of neurological effects from walking around in Arizona. It is the state where my dad was born. My family has a history of here before it was even a state, so I feel safe here. But the city officials are making it unsafe for me to live, and I'm posting this because I want them to see what they are responsible for and for them to take action against what's killing the nation. You guys are unknowingly suffering from your own destruction, and you say, oh, it's not possible and you don't believe science, but currently I heard that they're cutting protections for stuff like this. So everywhere you go, all your little vacations that you take and stuff are potentially going to kill you or the people around you, because I did get this at a Flagstaff resort. I'm not going to say the name unless they don't do what they said they were going to do, which was test and treat the infection. And I believe them because the businesses throughout the city have done their best to protect the community. And I feel safe inside the businesses. Getting to and from the businesses is a whole nother story. I do not feel safe traveling within the city because the roads are unsafe for me because of the pollution on the sidewalks. And it looks like just bushes and stuff that need to be maintained. But obviously there's no funding. How is there no funding to maintain bushes that are potentially a health risk when there's funding to make it look nice everywhere else for tourists? Your tourists are at risk here. So remember, you're giving your money to put your life at risk. You're trading your life for $1. Remember that when you come to Flagstaff. And I'm putting this on YouTube because I've been trying to do it privately and secretly without making a big deal, but because my city leaders are ignoring me and I'm very, very close to death right now and I'm barely surviving, I feel like I have no choice but to make it known to the world what's happening and ask for you guys' support by stop littering. And police officers, enforce that law. If you see somebody littering, give them that $2,000 ticket, because this is the result of that. That's why it costs $2,000, because the cost of their littering is expensive. The cost of your trash getting thrown out of your car is expensive. This is the price we pay. So I would love it for my police officers, the boys in blue, to do that. I know your guys' job is hard, so stop looking for things to do and start giving people tickets for everything possible. It looks and it sounds petty, but this is not petty. This is not petty when this is growing in that litter, in the stuff that they throw out all over the city. It's growing and it's infecting us. And like I said, it could be dangerous once it gets to me, because it might possibly mutate and start affecting people who are resistant to it because of their immune systems. It's known by the CDC and the WHO that this is possible. That's how the corona came out, because the coronavirus is a virus we've already had for hundreds of years. I am a Spanish settler, so I might be immune to corona because of my heritage. But that doesn't make me immune to pollution and neglected illnesses that can be treated with minimal costs. Because of neglect, the costs are rising. And who's at fault for that? The people in charge. Tell them that. Tell them that they need to stand up and be responsible for ruining the lives of innocent citizens who just are trying to live. This is what I get when I walk outside. I have trouble breathing. I don't know if I'm going to make it home from buying groceries. I'm fighting for survival in the most extreme way because it can be helped if people just do the right things and follow the policies that are there by laws that were put in place to protect people, and stop getting rid of the EPA protections, because if you continue to do that, you're gonna die. Your children are gonna die. When your babies come home with this on their face, remember that you guys chose to protect the banks over the city, Parks and Rec. How are the banks more important than Parks and Recreation? If I go, because I do like to go play, I have a service animal who could be contagious. What if I want to go to the park? I'm going to put your babies at risk, and you're not going to want me at the park. But then you're going to violate my rights by abusing me because I'm at your park. If the city cleaned it up, the park wouldn't have made me sick in the first place. And I wouldn't have the potential to get you sick. If they wouldn't have neglected their responsibility, I wouldn't be contagious right now. I wouldn't be a risk to the community. The conditions of the city have made me a risk to the community, and trust me, I do everything possible to protect you guys. I spray myself all day and night, in and out of any circumstances. I wear gloves so I don't touch things to infect you, because I have this red, do you see that red on the tip of my fingers? It's burning, I'm twitching, shivering, and it's causing me to get paralysis and struggle breathing. That's from something that I touched that the city was responsible for repairing. They did repair it, but it infected my personal belongings. And that's from touching my personal belongings that were affected. Flagstaff is a beautiful place. It is a natural beauty. The city and the people in control of the cities have allowed its destruction, and it's not as beautiful as you want to think it is. It's stinky. It smells like armpits and pee-pee. I ain't even kidding. And if anybody's ever been here, they'll know that I'm not lying. I love you guys, and I'm sorry that I had to post this for my kids, because I know it's scary, but I'm scared, and the only way that I'm going to get help is if you see what I'm suffering through, and that's why I started this blog.